Hello and welcome. I am Kalpana Singhal, founder and chief editor CXO TV, our flagship brand of Techless Media Group. And today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Philips Dayanidhi, Vice President and Chief Information and Digital Officer, Bosch Global Software Technologies Private Limited, formerly known as Robot Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions, for this very interesting fireside chat. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Dayanidhi.
Thank you very much, Kalpana, for having me over. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you so much for joining me. The pleasure is mutual. Okay, so Mr. Dayanidhi, much has been said about Industry 4.0 and how it is revolutionizing the manufacturing world by providing manufacturers with opportunities to utilize advanced tools and technologies throughout the product lifecycle. What are the trends you see in India specifically?
See, Industry 4.0 is a very vast topic. You can take the entire value stream from demand to supply as one spectrum, or you can take it within the plant. But what we see is that more and more industries, including SMEs, are beginning to adapt technologies in order to move forward. Earlier, the trend was only the big companies, the large industries were adapting this. But now, since there are many startups, many smaller companies that are providing solutions that are adaptable, can be used as more off the shelf, and also the trend of SaaS model coming into the picture, where smaller industries need not invest big on IT infra or invest big on many of the things that are needed typically for an Industry 4.0 are not required. So as a result, I see a greater adaptation of Industry 4.0. For example, we ourselves from Bosch Global Software Technologies provide a solution called as Phantom, which is a non-invasive solution to monitor the performance of the machine. All you need is to plug this in an electric point, which is invert coming for the machine, and that does an entire analysis based on AI, ML, and the power data, power signature data, and then tells you what's the uptime of the machine, downtime of the machine, load on the tool, etc., etc., which helps somebody sitting in their home. Let's say I'm the MD or I'm the manufacturing head of a company. Sitting at home, I can monitor the machine's performance and check out how it's doing. And that's a trend I feel that's happening. It's getting cheaper, it's getting more widely used, and technology is becoming more commoditized over a period.
That's quite interesting. Okay. So maintaining a seamless supply chain is crucial for any manufacturing unit, as the pandemic disrupted the supply chain for many. What are the innovations businesses are making to build a resilient supply chain?
Supply chain, I think, particularly during COVID, has been disrupted. Even now, because of shortage of chips, I think all of us have longer waiting times for whatever we order, from laptop to cars. Everything seems to be in short supply. But then I think it is important to know that in the supply chain, if we are able to bring transparency of what is happening within the supply chain, we are able to better plan, we are able to better match the demand to the supply. So by this, what I mean is, for example, the trend of introduction of digital control towers, where you begin to use the data of what is coming as a demand from the customer, what's there in the inventory, and your logistics service providers who move the items one place to another, being able to track them real time, feeding that data back to the digital control tower, or our vendor machines and their performances and their inventories, plugging them in as a resource for data, and then putting all these together and trying to make meaning out of it so that you can, on a real-time basis, make decisions on which line can be run with which item vis-a-vis which other line can be changed, maybe because of short supply of something. So this kind of a transparency, which primarily, if you boil it down, it is data, right? It's data science. You're just capturing data from multiple sources, and you're able to bring this dashboard equivalent, which is like a command and control, where you're able to get that visibility for somebody sitting in a plant to know what's the customer demand, what are the inventories, what is the needed supply, and then what's the vendor supply looking like, etc., and plan the whole thing so that you're able to link from we being a tier 2 supplier for components to all the way up to the customer's line. We are able to bring this transparency. So if you see, there are sensors in this, there is software, and the solutions that come around data, the solutions that come around leveraging cloud, etc. So this is something that is of paramount importance right now, and I think this will continue in the coming months. Also, I feel next 12 months, I don't think we are going to see any respite. Maybe here and there a little, but the demand will be higher than the supply, and the supply chain bringing this transparency is going to be more and more crucial.
Yeah. So you mean to say the technologies that are being used behind these kind of solutions are IoT, AI, ML, analytics, and
Yes.
blockchains of
So
evolves.
when I say sensor, it is basically IoT. You're bringing in the data. For example, when I talk about tracking the vehicles that are carrying the goods from one point to another, be it from the vendor to our premises or from our premises to the customer, we have an IoT solution there, which is integrated into the logistics service providers platform and the vehicles, which has a GPS tracker in a real time, which feeds the data into our systems, and we are able to track it. Or the machine data, which again is an IoT solution that comes from the sensors that are mounted in the machine, or data that comes directly from our PLCs, which gets pumped into the cloud. So all these are being used, leveraged. It's a complex multi-level technology. You can't pinpoint. That's why I said it's from sensors to software to solutions. It end to end, everything gets covered in that.
Okay. So what are the best use cases for these technologies and basically, the automation, the level of automation we are talking about when it comes to supply chain?
See, when you talk about automation, we are using, for example, in the supply chain itself, can we process the orders on vendors automatically based on the demand and based on the changes that happen in the different lines based on the supply that is there. So those things are automated. Or we use AI/ML in order to help us in decision making so that the planner need not sit and sort of massage the data or assimilate the data. He gets data insights and also suggestions to say what could be the best possible combination that can go forward for manufacturing based on the inventory and based on the supply that there is, etc. So these are decision making that is more or less automated, except a click of a button which takes the decision by a planner or by the person who's responsible for manufacturing. The rest of it is slowly getting automated. This apart, I think, see, automation in the manufacturing line itself has been a very old trend. For a long time now, we've been working towards eliminating dependency on people's decision making. So we are using sensors, we are using machines, IoT solutions in order to automate decisions. Take, for example, end of line quality inspection, which was mandatory before. Now it is more or less automated in most lines, so that based on visual images or based on video analytics or based on the machine data or based on multiple other factors, we are able to determine and say whether the quality inspection at the end of the line can be eliminated or not.
Yeah.
It can
So
be even in the incoming, outgoing, both ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure these must be some very expensive technologies. What according to you are the cost and risk and the rewards involved in building a future ready organization? And how crucial is the role technology is playing to make those future ready organizations, especially after COVID?
See, initially, it appears as if the investments are high. Definitely, it appears as if it's high. But I must say, if you take a 3 to 4 years horizon, number one, it pays for itself. Number two, it builds resilience, where you remove dependence on people. Particularly in COVID, think of it, IT companies straight away switch to work from home. How would you do that in a manufacturing setup? Not possible. So how do you build resilience in those cases? We are not yet there to say, we are running a dark factory where no man is there. We still have people there. But we are moving towards that where we sort of depend more on technology to be able to bring in that remote monitoring, remotely being able to operate machines, remotely being able to do many things. For example, use of robotics is big time in manufacturing, where robots load machines or robots do the packing or robots do the loading of the component for manufacturing and unloading of the component from the manufacturing plant or a machine, etc. So when you talk about costs itself, initially it does appear very expensive. But I think we should take a long-term view and say, what's the total cost of ownership over the long run? When I say long run, I'm not talking about 10 years, I'm talking about 3 to 5 years. And how can we have this ROI that will pay for itself, number one. Number two, prepares the organization for a long-term resilience to take care of untoward incidents. And God forbid it happen. I hope it doesn't. Another COVID, another wave. If it comes, then we better be prepared with such kind of investments that we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Then security is another challenge. Like you also highlighted that it is all on the basis of the data, and data breaches are always in news. So I don't think there would be any company which will not be facing data breach ever in life. So during its journey. So that's next to impossible. When we say the legacy companies, or maybe those which are not having their digitalized business models, it's quite difficult for them to adopt and to switch to such technologies. So what do you think are the major challenges they actually, because you're on the both side, like consuming
Yeah.
technology as well as providing the technology, you yourself are the digitalization consulting firm. So what gaps you have identified, like what are the challenges they are facing, and moving forward, like what is the way for them, starting from the SME to the large enterprises?
See, for me, I definitely think technology is not the barrier. Okay. Cost of technology is not the barrier either, because computing power has increased and cost in India, whether it's for data, whether it's for networks, is reducing drastically. What I find is the barrier is the change management or the culture of the people, right? So when it comes to even in our own company, in-house, if I implement something, how easily do people adapt? It's not very easy. There is always a resistance. So I would say number one, focus on people part in a big way, people and the culture part. For this, my suggestion, whether you're an SME or a large institution, is educate or bring the literacy of digital literacy program within the organization as a first thing, so that people understand the power of technology. What happens, the mistake that many CDOs, CIOs make is we bring in those nice, sexy solutions and we want people to adapt. There will be resistance. It's inevitable. We are all prone to resisting change, including you and me. So what we do is we bring in literacy program. We brought in already. We got entire organization to come to a minimum level of digital literacy. So once they understand the power of technology, you see some of the jargons that we in IT company use, which are normal for us, are Greek and Latin to people in manufacturing or a legacy brick and mortar company, let's say. So getting them to understand those, bringing them to that comfort level of what is an RPA, what is an AI, what is an ML, what's a blockchain, what is a digital ledger, how is this different, what is, analytics, and what is different technologies. I mean, we can
How
name
they
it.
can actually relate themselves, basically.
They can relate themselves and then work with them to say, listen, now what are the biggest business problems you are having? What is your strategy? And align technology to strategy and not try to align strategy to technology. So get this, put business first. If there's a business problem that the company is facing, if the technology cannot solve that, I can preach all day. My CFO and CEO will not adapt to the technology. So bringing this change management through a digital literacy program or educating people in some way to know what is the art of the possible is, I feel, a good way to take it forward in terms of bringing about the change. That's one strategy I would say. Number two is focus on some lighthouse projects. Don't go big bang for digital transformation. Focus on few projects, show forth that benefit to the organization, make it, you need, I mean, as a CDO, you need to be a marketing guy also. You need to internally market. You need to say, listen, this is what we implemented as a result. This is the saving. This is the experience change. This is the customer benefit. Bring that to the foray and say, this is what it is. And people begin to then buy into that idea. It's like, Google giving you a free email for a long time and then telling you if you pay a little more you'll get this additional feature. So get them used to these benefits and then encourage them to solve the problem by themselves. Okay, so don't try to bring a big bang approach. The second thing I say is spread your digital transformation to both the top line and the bottom line. I found many CIOs and CDOs focus either on one or the other. Okay, See, bottom line is when I say, how do you bring more efficiencies within your processes? How do you bring more experience for the people within your organization? These are bottom line things, right? When it comes to top line, how do I bring digital into my product? How can I improve my revenue? How can I improve my customer reach? How can I improve my, let's say, sales guys being able to improve the conversion from an opportunity to a conversion? These are top line things. So, excuse me. So these things I feel should be the strategy in order to make the transformation journey effective. Because when it comes to digital transformation, there's a start date, but there's not that end date like a project. It's a journey that you go on.
It's an ever
And
evolving
people
thing.
should see that journey and where we are headed to, and then they'll be able to see the big picture.
Yeah. So the question arises like there are so many technologies available out there, and every business has its own unique nature. How people can actually make out, especially as I said, that if they are not digital native companies, there are some traditional companies, then how they can make a choice and they can identify that, okay, which is relatable to us, which is everything cost. So, is there any? Would you like to give any kind of best practices or tips, which can actually help them to decide? Yes, this is something we should go ahead with. So, fine. I mean, you said that we should take baby steps. We should start with something small, with small projects. But then again, identifying for those small projects is something. I mean, people are quite confused. The businesses are quite confused whether they should start with an automation for the customer experience or for their production and so on and so forth for the different functions. So, how they can meet these challenges?
Uh, my suggestion, Kalpana, or rather my approach has been don't go technology forward, rather take business problem backward. So, what are the business problems that the business is grappling with, battling with? Help them to prioritize. If I have to solve four problems this year for the business, which would the top four be? And then, based on that big problem statements, which we want to solve, it could even be, when I say problem statements, it could be increased revenue by 10% or 20% or 30%, whatever that may be. It could also be a thing that keeps the CEO awake in the night. How do we do that? So that's primarily you put those problem statements, prioritize them, and say these are the top three or top five or whatever the number may be. You put that, and then work back and say what technologies, what solutions available in the market can solve this problem. Okay? So for me personally, I'm moving away more and more from the homegrown bespoke solutions. Being an IT company, that's a very tempting thing to do everything in-house. But rather, I would also propose to the CIOs and CDOs, look for solutions that are already there in the market. And off the shelf, there are plenty of solutions that are there, which are SaaS models, which are plug and play solutions where we don't need to do much. It may mean that we have to adapt or tweak some of our current practices to the standard. Fit to standard, keep that as a mantra, because tomorrow when a technology changes and upgrade happens, it becomes easier to migrate into a newer technology compared to that. So to summarize, I would say keep business first, prioritize the problem statements, don't go technology forward. Number two, after you prioritize that, look for solutions in the market. There are dime a dozen partners who are available who can enable us to do that. Go in for that, understand what the solutions that are available, get feedback, and then implement those. And that can range from robotic process automation, AI, ML, blockchain, whether you need 5G, whether you need IoT, whether you need simple analytics, whatever it may be.
So, it could be open API solutions which can
It
easily
could
get
be. I
integrated.
mean, yeah. See, primarily when you're going in for more and more buy of solution and not make in-house, your architecture needs to be an open architecture where it's an what is it, API economy, where you're able to plug and play multiple things because you possibly can't have disseparate systems. You need the systems to talk to each other, and for that API needs to be an important element too.
Yeah. So, have you ever experienced the kind of disagreement between a CFO and a CIO, or maybe taking a project forward, been suggested by the CIO and or the innovation officer, I would say rather. and
Mm.
it's getting stuck. I mean, not specifically within your organization, Bosch being a very large enterprise. So of course, it won't be a challenge there. But within your customers, like if there has been, so how people can actually, these CIOs can deal with such problems.
See, these challenges ought to be there and will be there because see, the perspectives are different, right? Because whoever you take as a CXO, whether it's a CFO who sort of plans and budgets the money, or whether it's a CEO, they need to see a business value in whatever we do. And often it is not easy for them because they think this is another lecture, this is another nice to have. Right? So we need to sort of paint the big picture and a long-term view for the customers. And it's not going to be easy. The smaller the company, the more difficult it is because, if for a company like Bosch, where processes and systems are in place for us to get innovation budget or new technology investments, etc., a smaller company may be owner run. It is not so easy for you to get a approval from a owner run who needs to be convinced. My proposal there would be always talk what is the business value proposition. Don't talk technology. Don't talk technology. Talk about business value proposition that you can bring as a result of these multiple technologies. And then don't go big bang again. Okay? You say, allow me to prove it in a pilot in one area. Prove that, show the numbers, and then go for bigger approvals and get it forward. That's the only way forward. We can't really remove away because CEO looks at it from primarily the top line perspective, how he can improve that. CFO will look at it from the finance perspective. Maybe someone else will look at it from another
Yeah.
perspective, operational excellence perspective. So we need to see as a CIO who integrates with all these different functions within the organization, how do we bring that business value proposition to each one of them?
So CXOs have been, telling me during the chats that CFOs, take it as an expense, even if it is, a proposal for getting digital training being done, arranged, whether it is a workshop or a master class. So quite hard to convince the CFOs. All right.
It
So
is. It
yeah,
is.
yeah. So according to you, what are the three most influential technologies which will see large adoption in your organization over the next 12 to 24 months?
Having seen 5G announcement, that would be, I think, the big wave that will happen. Already the telecom companies have been prepared for it, and companies like Bosch have experimented on it already, of having a private 5G within the plant. Uh, for example, where machines talk to each other, how the data can be flowing from one place to another using leveraging 5G. So 5G is going to be one big thing which will happen. And with the coming of the 5G also, I think the edge computing will grow in a big way because we spoke about an era where cloud became suddenly the buzzword. Everybody was talking about move to cloud, move to cloud. But now I think that'll be behind us. There will be cloud, but I think it will be edge plus cloud as a hybrid model that will work, particularly where data intensive operations are there. We will see more and more of that, which I see. IoT will become a common thing in future, and I think things like a phone connecting to every device. At my house, I operate even my geyser and television and everything remotely, including light and using IoT devices. So IoT is going to maybe more commoditized. We may not realize it. People even won't call it IoT or may not know it is IoT. But sensors coming into play, data flowing from sensors to cloud, and from there the solutions through softwares, which is in total the IoT, will become a common thing. And underlying all these, I think, is the data part, which is AI/ML. None of these will be successful without AI/ML. And
Yeah.
data, I feel, is the core for anything that we do, whether you want to improve your business being on Amazon, or you want to improve customer experience using Qualtrics, or whether you want to improve the machine uptime using everything is going to be related with data. So I think AI/ML is going to be another big play. So these are things that I feel will be the trends come going forward.
And what about metaverse? So metaverse is something.
Metaverse,
Yeah.
metaverse, I feel is still in the hype cycle. In the trial mode, test mode. It has not yet come to a place where it is adapted as an industrialized solution, and I think it will take some time. It's not going to be in next 12 to 24 months.
And people are
You will
actually
see
getting,
pilots.
Yeah. They are actually getting confused with the proper metaverse and AR/VR solutions.
Yes,
Seems like.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You will see adaptation. Like, see, I heard that in Europe there's the largest concert held in metaverse, totally in metaverse,
Okay.
and it attracted millions of people, which wouldn't have been possible uh, physically in one location having a million people attending. In metaverse, it's a possibility. Like Facebook recently announced saying that they're going to release garments for metaverse for people to buy at a $2 or $1 kind of a price. These are also metaverse, let's say in training or metaverse in recruitment, or these use cases will come up. And I feel the adoption for metaverse will be more in the retail where people can go in and experience something before they buy it. Like if I want to go buy a washing machine, can I have a look? Or if I want to buy a real estate house, can I put that on the metaverse where I can go experience the house to see how it is before I can buy it remotely? So these things will happen, but I feel the full-fledged adoption is a little far out. It's not yet there. But will the experimentation continue? Definitely yes, because that's a buzz now. How successful we will be, I'm a little skeptical in the short term and the midterm, but in the long term, I think that will be the way forward.
I mean, that's the perspective from India, or globally, you think it's still in the hype only?
See, whether it's India or globe, metaverse, I think we are on an equal playing ground. I don't think there's any country ahead of us. And I would say, looking at the adaptability of UPI payments in India, probably we could be leapfrogging into use of metaverse ahead of the West in one sense of it, if I must say that. But I think it will be equal. Equal. The power gap of technology adaptation is reducing between the emerging markets and the developed markets. So for metaverse, probably it may be equal. Uh,
Yeah.
I would say so. I wouldn't differentiate between India and the others. Yeah, it depends on how easy the technology will become. Currently, you need a headset and you need certain apps, you need some investments, etc. In the future, I'm sure those will reduce. Once that happens, it will get commoditized, but not in the next 12 to 24 months. I see it longer.
Yeah.
That's my view. I mean, this is personal view. I will agree to disagree with somebody else if they have a different point of view.
Yeah. And I thank you so much for answering that last question, Mr. Dayanidhi, and sharing great insights, and especially that how businesses can accelerate their digital transformation amid challenges from COVID-19. These strategies that if we have discussed are awesome. Thank you so much. It was a complete pleasure interacting with you.
Same here, Kalpana. Thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
With this, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and to watch more such interesting videos, please log on to www.cxotv.news, and please stay tuned to our social media channels. Stay safe and take care.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.